Otherwise, no new players are entering. In older days, before 50 or 60 years, you have not heard about the Ambani, but he came in the picture, and that number is very big in the before the 50, 60 years. Nowadays, you will find very less number of the entrepreneur or manufacturer. Some internal problems are also there for the conventional manufacturing systems. That is about the high level of work in process inventories. So inventories will be high, and that will increase the cost, right? Complex material flow pattern, right? To meet the demand, you have to go for the material flow pattern that is a complex one. Extremely long lead time, right? Lead time will be higher one. Increasing the product complexity. Nowadays, you require the more products, more complex products, which is having a harder material, which is having a complex features. So it's a demand internal problem with for the conventional manufacturing. Excessive material handling and damaged parts. So whenever you go for the excessive material handling, sometimes it will cause damaging of the parts and component also. So that will increase the cost of manufacturing indirectly. Complex scheduling and machine capacity loading is also there in case of the conventional manufacturing processes. Some more are there. Low capital asset utilization, aging capital investment is there. Inadequate tooling, unavailable toolings are there. Out of control scrap and the rework cost is there. So these are the very uh, very large things that create a problems either internally or externally for the conventional manufacturing system. Now that leads to think the researchers and the manufacturer to think about the new technologies. So there are the five new technologies that are coming in the market nowadays. One is a just-in-time, second one is lean manufacturing, third one that FMS, which we are going to discuss, fourth SIM, and the fifth one is a green manufacturing. That each one has a some unique idea, unique features. When we say the just-in-time, that advance in computing technology helps to work on the just-in-time. Right, we can easily communicate the persons for the delivering of the raw materials and the other things, toolings. Right, so that all things are help due to the computer technology only. So. So not exactly custom production, but sometimes hundred of the options are possible. Every product is made and digital specifications, and that can be done in the production line or layout within a short time. Right, as customer will say that I require this one, and this just-in-time manufacturing system will provide the start the manufacturing and provide the product to the customer. So that is a feature of a just-in-time manufacturing. So that is possible without wasting of the time. You don't require very large lead time to organize the thing, to plan the things. This technology will capable enough to produce the things within short lead time, right? And that is possible only due to the shared information system between the manufacturer and individual component and material suppliers and external supplier partnership. So they will plan such a way that every inventory, every toolings will be available on the software within a short time. Uh, Benefit of the just-in-time will be the very reduced lead times. Already we have seen, right, between the placing the order and receiving the product. Less finance is tied up in the stocks, so we require very less inventory, or you can say the very low inventory as a we plan for the production after the receiving the customer needs. Right. So just-in-time will reduce the inventory also. Second one is a lean in manufacturing. So that is also new technology. So it is an initiative focused on the eliminating the all waste in the manufacturing process, right? Resulting in a more competitive and profitable position in the industry. Lean manufacturing is focused that how we can reduce the waste or eliminate the waste. That is during the either product design or the either manufacturing the product, right? Uh, so that depends on the you have to reduce the less human effort also, less stock also, less time to develop the product also, less space to make that product also. So here everything will be uh, uh, customized, everything will be optimized and try to reduce that all things, right? So what are the inputs you are using for making a product that are used in this lean manufacturing system? So that will become more efficient and the economical. Third one, that is a computer integrated manufacturing. So SIM, already we discussed in the earlier lecture that this SIM platform will group coordinate the CAD competitive design features, competitive manufacturing features, and competitive process planning feature. All platforms are coming on the single plane, and they will try to expedite the work and try to provide you the best product, right? So that also involves moving the material assembly between the machining operations. They will also focus on that plan also. So all things will be fully automated in the same. The green manufacturing, the next aspect is green manufacturing. In this one, we not only minimize the waste, also we minimize the pollution. So here the aspect is more concern about the popular pollution, right? Achieved through the product and the process design. So how we can go for the such a product design or process design that will create a very less pollution. So this is a philosophy rather than an adopted process and or the standard, you can say. It is a philosophy. Some manufacturers are supporting this one also. Its definition is given by Dr. Foster that green manufacturing is a philosophy rather than an adopted process because it motivates ongoing improvement even though it may be impossible to achieve. This is a definition given for the green manufacturing by Dr. Foster. Now, today's discussion, that is a flexible manufacturing system. What is a flexible manufacturing system? You can say it is a reprogrammable manufacturing system capable of producing a variety of products automatically. Thing is that it is reprogrammable. So it is not fixed program. You can reprogram the manufacturing system capable of producing a variety of products. Right? The second thing, that is a variety of product can be produced, this one. And third thing that is very important, that is automatically, right? So here the reprogrammable, variety of product, and automatically. So it will order to reprogramming products and also the automation also. Conventional manufacturing system has some limitation already we discussed that either you can go for the less quantity but at high cost, either go for the large quantity but it is not flexible, not flexible for the different type of the components. So this all limitation can be covered up by the FMS system. So FMS is designed to provide the both of these features. You can go for the medium volume in the FMS very easily. So you can get a number of the variety with number of the product. So why we need of a flexibility in the manufacturing system? The reason is that variety in the products, the option for the customers, right? You can produce number of the products, so it will give the better option for consumers, and you will get more customers. Optimizing the manufacturing cycle times, reduce the production cost, of overcoming the internal changes like failures, breakdown, limited sources. So that can be overcome with the flexible manufacturing system. External change, such a change in the product design and production system, very easily met by the FMS system, flexible manufacturing systems. So it is defined by Carter in 1986 that flexibility can be defined as a collection of property of a manufacturing system that supports change in the production activity and the capability. So it supports the changes in the production activity and capability. Ability of manufacturing system to respond effectively to the both internal and external changes by having built-in redundancy in the versatility of equipment is known as a flexibility in the FMS. When we say about the history of FMS, it is started in 1960 in the England by the David Williamson. So he thinks in terms of the flexible manufacturing system by making the system 24. So he's given the name that is a system 24, not FMS, but he introduced as a system 24. So he designed such a flexible manufacturing system could operate without human operator 24 hours a day under computer control. So in 1960, he planned for that one, that he used something CNC machine, NC machines, and some computers to start that system and run it for the 24/7. Right. So at the time, he introduced the terminology FMS. From beginning, the emphasis is on the automation rather than the reorganizing the workflow. So all the FMS, FMS total thing is on the automation. Total focus is on the automation. Right. Automation is main purpose in the beginning. So FMS is based on the basically on the automation. During 1960 to 1970, cost was primary concerns. We all know that at the time the cheaper product is required more. Then after later the quality become the priority. Right. From 1970 to 1990, we focus on the quality. Right? We wait for the quality, we wait for the market that we'll get a quality product like a Bajaj scooter, right? Uh, we can wait for the delivery time, large delivery time, but after the 1990, people are not that much passionate. So after that, market become more and more complex, and speed of delivery become focus point for the customer. So if customers are also focused on the how much speedy delivery you can do. Right? So new strategy was formulated, customizability, and the companies have to adapt to the environment in which they operate to be more flexible in their operations and to satisfy different market segment. So customizability is a major focus point, and it is more flexible in the operation and to satisfy the market segments. So FMS is a manufacturing technology, you can say. It is a philosophy also, you can say, right? And system is a key word, right? We have to focus on the system. We have to develop such a system that is a flexible. And buzzword for the today's manufacturer is agility, right? Agile manufacturer is one who is the fastest to the market, right? Operates with the lowest total cost, has greatest ability to delight its customer, right? So agility is more focus point nowadays that we require to give the product at low cost at a very delight manner. FMS is simply one way that beneficiaries are able to achieve this agility, right? FMS, as per the United Government, US definition for FMS is very simple in that case. A series of automatic machine tools or items of fabrication in equipments linked together with automatic material handling system, right? So the number of the automatic machine tools linked together with automatic material handling system, right? Uh, and a common digital pre-programmed computer control. That all things like a number of the machine tools and the conveyor belts, so that all things should be connected with the common digital platform, right? So that will cause the producing the product very easily. So that is the definition given by the US government. Likewise, FMS by the Quick Kearney Tracker. FMS is a group of NC machine tools that can be randomly processed, a group of parts having automated material handling and central computer to control dynamically balance resources utilization so that the system can adapt automatically to change in the part productions, mix or level of the output. So that will provide the flexibility for changing the part production. So many definitions are there. Now you can see the layout for the FMS. Here you can see there's a top side that is a computer control automation. You can say that major thing is there. Number of the machine tools are there around the conveyor belt, centrally conveyor belt. Here the raw materials are taken and that will uh, go on the conveyor belt and that will process one by one on the machine tools, and finally you will get a finished products and that will be stored in the storage place. So this way you can process the raw materials centrally, and that all things, all machineries, all conveyor belts, all storage retrieval systems are connected to the common computer center. So one person can capable enough to run the whole system, and this system is such a adaptable and such a flexible that it can go for the change in the product easily. So here you can see number of the products can be produced simultaneously also. Here some layouts are shown for the FMS. Here you can see the photographs of the FMS layout, that a number of the systems are around the conveyor belts, and that will allow the flow of the material between these machine tools. Since 30 microns FMS systems is shown. Here also one type of systems schematic diagram of the FMS is shown. So before going to other PPT, I will share one video about the FMS that will be uh, more throw more light. So 1 minute, please wait. I'm sharing that video. Please wait. Please wait. Just I forget to incorporate the sound in that. Are you able to see this video? Hello.
Yes.
Are you able to see this? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here you can see the robot. That is continuously taking the parts from the pallets, which is on the conveyor belt. Here you can see the conveyor belts are there. So that will continuously feeding the parts, raw materials, finished components, you can say. So the robot will pick and place the things in the machineries automatically. There is no human needs in this one. And robot is capable enough to change its capability to pick the different types of components. All things material handling will be automatic. All manufacturing will be automatic. All assembly stations are also automatic. All inspection stations, here you can see it will inspect, that is also automatically. Here it is placed. It will sense the thing that a component is placed, then after it will move automatically. One major thing is that this all things, robots, CNC machines, the storage systems, retrieval systems that are connected to the single PC. So one single PC, one single program that is giving command to the robot also, that is giving command to the CNC machine also, that is giving command to the pallet unit also. So that will give the synchronized operation, right? It will give command after the finishing of the component in the machines to the robot that machining is completed. You can take and pick the component from the machine tools and pick place that one in the conveyor belt. So that all things are signal given by the single computer. That is a beauty. Here you can see that it is placing the semi-finished product to the next machine tool. Here you can see this is a automated guided vehicle that is moving automatically, right? So it is following the path that is drawn on the floor. You can see there is a black strip, so it is following the black strip. We'll discuss that things on the later on. This AGV will move between the one and two machineries that also do the work for placing the components. Here you can see in the background there is a AGV is running, it's moving. We'll put the finished product on that AGV. It is continuously running the system 24/7 without any error, without any mistakes, without any problems. So it is very helpful in such a condition of COVID-19 that all setup, all machinery will automatically running 24/7 by using the FMS system. Also, it is capable that you can change the product also. It is not limited to the fixed product type, right? So that is a beauty. Otherwise, mostly mass production units are the very capable of producing the number of the component, but it is having a limitation that it is inflexible about the product variety. Yeah, these are the general machine CNC machine tools which are used. Yeah, the material handling equipment, that is robot, that is also general purpose. So that this general purpose machinery and robots are making the flexible the whole system. And the thing is, the one more thing is that it is having a automatic material handling equipments. So you can see here it can run for the 24/7 without any interruption. So this is a beauty of FMS. So it will, I think, clear your doubt. This video. Now I will share again the presentation. Please wait. So here, these are the reason for flexibility. The reason for the FMS is called flexible, that it is capable of processing of variety of different parts, styles at various workstation. Also, it produces the mixed part styles. Quantity of production also can be changed. So it can change the quantity of production as well as the quality of production of both things. FMS is most suited for the mid variety, mid volume production range, right? They are the three capabilities that manufacturing system must be possessed to be flexible. To whom we will say this is a flexible manufacturing system? It should have the three capability. One is the ability to identify and distinguish among the different part styles processed by the systems, quick changeover of operating instruction, quick changeover of physical setup. So these are the things need to be called the system as a flexible. So here you can see the this is a, product volume and variety chart is there. So here you can see this is for the manufacturing cells, and center portion is about the flexible manufacturing system. So flexible FMS cover the mid volume, mid variety products, right? And here top there is a special systems, that is mass production or dedicated equipments are there. So FMS support the mid volume and mid variety products. So that is the nowadays requirements. Need of FMS. Why we need this FMS? The thing is that we want to reduce the setup and queue times. We want to improve the efficiency. We want to reduce the time for products completion. We want to utilize human worker better. We don't want to use the human worker to pick and place the things around the machineries. So we can use the human worker for operating the machineries. So you can give the better skills, and you can use betterly the human workers. Improve product routing. So routine can be also improved. Product variety of items under one roof. Improve product quality. Produce more product more quickly. So that is the beauty of FMS. Principal objectives of FMS are the very simple: to improve the operational control through the reduction in the number of uncontrollable variables, reducing the dependency on the human communications. So where we don't require to communicate by the human beings, it can be communicated only by the computers. Reduce the direct labor through, we don't want to use the direct labor. Removing the operator from the machining sites, computer will do the work. Dependency on the high skill machinist is eliminated. We don't require the CNC programmer who can enter the program in the machine tools, and then the machine will start. The computer directly will take a softwares and make a programs and directly feed to the CNC machine. Right? Unattended, lightly attended machine operations can be done with the FMS. The third one, that is improve short-run responsiveness. So it will help for the engineering change, processing change, machine time downtime will be reduced, cutting tool failure will be reduced. So that are the things you can get from the FMS. Improve the long-run accommodation through the quicker and easier acceleration of the changing product volume, new product addition and introduction you can do in the FMS, different part mix you can do in the FMS. You can reduce the inventory by reducing the lot size, improving the inventory turnovers, planning for the JIT, just-in-time manufacturing in the FMS also. Already we have discussed that what is the flexibility. Flexibility means to produce the reasonably price customized products of high quality that can be quickly delivered to customers. So the thing is that we want to produce the customer focus products which is at a lower cost. Also, the system is such that it can adopt the changes whatever they require by the customer. So that is a flexibility given in the manufacturing. So flexibility in manufacturing means the ability of to deal with the slightly greatly mixed parts to allow the variation in the part assemblies and the variation in the process sequence. There are different types of flexibility defined in the FMS. We'll see one by one that flexibility. The first one is a machine flexibility. Right? So machine flexibility is a capability to adapt a given machine in the system to wide range of the production operation and parts time. So in that one case, machine is such a capable that it can go for the supporting the range of production operations and the parts time. Greater the range of the operation and parts time, the greater will be the machine flexibility. So we have to purchase such a machine which is having a more machine flexibility, right? There is a various factors on which machine flexibility depends. One is the setup and changeover time. Second one is ease with part programs can be downloaded to the machine. So how much easily you can insert the part program in the machines. That are the two things that will govern the machine flexibility. Second one is a production flexibility. It is a range of the part style that can be produced on a system. It is for the whole system, not a single machine. It's the whole system that how many number of the parts style can be produced, right? Range of the part style can be produced by the manufacturing system at moderate cost and less time is determined by the process envelope, and the machine production flexibility depend on the machine flexibility of individual stations and range of the machine flexibility to all stations in the system. So indirectly it will depend on the machine flexibility. Third one is a mixed flexibility. It is the ability to change the product mix while must maintaining the same total production quantity. We want to maintain the same production quantity, but variety of product will be different one. So that is a mixed flexibility, and it is also known as a process flexibility. It depends on the similarity of a part in the mix factor, like it depends on the machine flexibility factors, and the third one that depends on the relative work content time of the product produced. So these are the fixed mixed flexibility, and these are the factors which decide the mixed flexibility. Fourth one is a product flexibility. It refers to ability to change over to a new set of products, right? Economically, quickly in response to change in the market requirements. So we want to change the whole product, not component, but we want to change the whole product. So how much fastly it will change that product. So that decides the product flexibility. There are the number of the factors which will decide this one. So it will depend on this number of products. First one is the relatedness of a new product design with the existing part family. Second one, offline part programming of preparation. And the third one, it depends on the machine flexibility also. Routine flexibility. Routine flexibility is the capacity to produce the part from on an alternative workstation in case of equipment breakdown, tool failure, or other intervention at any particular station. So sometime one machine is failed, one workstation is failed, so you require to change the route. You require to bypass that machine. So how much your system is flexible that you can easily bypass the system, or you can easily change the routine. So that is known as a routine flexibility. It depends on the various factors. So first factor is a similarity of part in the mix. Second one, similarity of the workstation. Third one, common tooling. So it depends how much common tooling you have, how much similar workstation you have. Sixth one, that is a volume flexibility. It is ability of the system to vary the production volume, right, of a different products to accommodate the change in the demand while remain the profitable. So sometimes one product, A product is having a 50 number, B product is 1000 number, then you can C product is 500 number. So how much easily you can change the number of the product? You can raise A 50 to 500 easily. So that is a volume flexibility. So it depends on the various factors. So level of manual labor programming production, amount invested in the capital unit equipments. So it will depend on these factors too. One is the capital unit equipment amount, and second one the level of manual labor performing productions. Seventh one, that is the last flexibility, that is expansion flexibility. It is defined as ease with which the system can be expanded to foster total production volume. We have the fixed production volume that is 500 or 1000. Now, how faster you can change from 5,000 to the 10,000? So that is expansion flexibility. How much space you have, how much capital budget you have. So there are so many factors that will decide. Here, three factors are listed. One is a cost incurred in the adding the new workstation, trained workers. Second, then easiness in expansion of a layout, how much easily you can expand the layout. The third one, that is a type of part handling system you have. So this depends on the cost, depend on the layout, and depend on the handling system. Now, taste of the flexibility. To qualify to be as a flexible, a manufacturing system should have satisfied the several criteria. We have the manufacturing system. When we can say it is a flexible, so they have set for four criteria test. Right. After passing these four criteria test, we can say it is having a flexibility in the system. The first criteria test is a part variety test. Can the system process different part style in non-batch mode? So that is the first test it has to pass. Second one, schedule change test. Can the system rapidly or readily accept the change in the production schedule, change in the either part mix or production quantity, right? Either it has to change the schedule, it has to change the mix, it has to change the quantity, so that it has to pass. The third one, that is an error recovery test. So in that one, can the system recover quickly from the equipment breakdown so that the production is not completely disturbed? So if some machine is failed, then also it will cause continuous running of the system. It will not cause withholding of the whole system. So that is a error recovery test. And the fourth one, new part test. Can new part design will be introduced to in the existing product mix with very relative ease? So how much easiness we can add new part? So that this four test is required to be passed in order to qualify for the flexibility of flexible manufacturing system. So if you say all four has a yes answer, then we can say that our system is a flexible manufacturing system. Now, based on this flexibility, they have defined different types of the FMS, right? So in the different category, the first type, that is a sequential FMS, where it manufacture one part piece, part based type, and then planning and preparation is carried out for the next piece, part based type to be manufactured. It operates like a small batch, right? So flexible transfer line. Second one is a random shift FMS. Randomly, it will go for the random mix of the part. Third one known as dedicated FMS. It is continuously manufactured for extended period the same but limited mix of the piece for part based type. So here dedicated FMS is there. Engineered FMS. It manufactures the same mix of part types throughout the lifetime. That same part mix but throughout the lifetime. It will not going to change. Modular FMS. A modular FMS with a sophisticated FMS host enable an FMS users to expand FMS capability in a stepwise fashion into the any previous four types of the FMS. So either sequential, either random, dedicated, or engineer FMS, you can say for the modular FMS. Depending on the kinds of operation, also FMS are defined. One is a processing operation, one is assembly operation. So in the processing operation, such operation transform of work material from one state to another, moving towards the final desired part product. It add values by changing the geometry property appearance of a starting material. So processing operation means that FMS will support the machining of a component or joining of the component or welding of the component, like that things. Or you can say the that will machine remove the materials from the surface. That is also do the casting of the operation. So it will change the shape, geometry, and appearance of the product. So that is known as processing FMS. Assembly operation FMS, where it will join the two or more component only. It will not change the shape of the component. It will not change the dimension of the component. It will not remove the material from the component. So it covered the sometimes joining process like welding, brazing, bonding, riveting, press fittings. So that is the second type of the FMS. Depends on the number of the machine also FMS are classified. One is a single machine cells, second one is a flexible machine cell, and third one is a flexible manufacturing system FMS itself. So here you can see the single machine cell, which is a part of the FMS. Here you can see there is only one single dedicated CNC machine is there. It is processing the component throughout. So it will take raw materials and complete the whole operation by using a single CNC machine. There is a tool storage is there. It will use the different types of the tool to process the components. And there is only one dedicated pallet rack is there, or you can say the conveyor rack is there, that will supply the raw material to the machines and carried away the finished good to the storage place. So it has only single machine tool. Flexible manufacturing cells consist of the 2 or 3 processing workstations. So here you can see the first, second, or third workstation, that is a CNC workstation, plus a part handling system. So here you can see in front of that one there is a part handling system which will take and put the load, unload the things from the station, unloading stations. It will take up raw material from the stations and then put in the CNC machines, and thereafter it will pass through the next machines. So it is having a limited number of the machine tools. One that is a flexible manufacturing system, whole system, where you will find the number of the machine tools, right? And there is a centralized conveyor belts, automatic storage and travel systems, robots are there, inspection units are there. So where 4 or more processing workstations are connected mechanically by common part handling system and electronically by distributed computer system, it is known as a FMS, right? So here you can see the 4 or more workstation which are connected, interconnected, and also supervised by the center computer. Difference between FMS and FMC, we will say the flexible machine cells and flexible machine system. What is the difference? Then first one, it has a 4 and more systems. It is a FMC is a 2 or 3 machines. FMS is a large and more sophisticated computer control system. It has FMC is a simple computer system. FMS is a minimized effect of the machine breakdown, as the number of the machines are there, larger one, and similar machines are there. So you can, if one machine is breakdown, then you can bypass the route and you can go for the continuous production. But in FMC, you cannot go for that one. So when we put the product rate and the annual volume divide versus the number of machines, then single machine cell is the first one, that is having a single machine. Flexible machine cells which are having a 2 or 3 machines, and the very middle volume of the production. And the fourth one, that is a flexible manufacturing system, that is having more quantity and more machine. Already we discussed dedicated and random order of FMS. Here you can see the random order of FMS will having a more part variety and the less number of the volume, but dedicated SMS is having a more number of the volume, or you can say higher volume and then less variety. Now more consideration will be given on the FMS in case of the in this case is about the layout consideration. So you have to plan your layout such that the whole system becomes flexible. It will give the flexibility to the system. So for that you have to plan for the layout in a good manner. So layout is very important design characteristic of FMS design. So we have to focus on the layout. The layout of machine to process part is in FMS is determined by the type of the material handling you are using. Right, what type of material handling you are using. So based on the type of layout, or they are the FMS also classify, or you can say there are the different types of the FMS layout available. The first one, that is a inflow inline layout, right? So where the number of the machines, automatic machines are there, line in the same line, one by one, and there's a work is flowing in the linear manner. So machines and handling systems are arranged in the straight line. Right here you can see it is straight in the straight line. Here the loading station will take the raw materials, and that raw material will be passed to the machines, and thereafter it will go to the next machine, next machines, and like way it will workflow, and a completely finished machine will go on the unloading pallet, and it will go for the storage pallets. The straight line flow, well-defined processing sequence similar for the all work unit. Workflow is from the left to the right through the same workstation. No secondary handling system is there. So here it only has a single handling system, that is a primary handling system. There is no secondary material handling system is there. In line system, linear transfer system, there is also provision that you can provide the secondary handling system like this one. Right? So here the line is there, but in front of the machine itself, there is a rotary secondary line system is provided to facilitate the work to flow in the both direction, either clockwise or either in anti-clockwise. So these things can be done in the inline system. Second one is a FMS loop layout. In this case, machines are laid down around the central conveyor belt, that is in the oval shape. Right? This is oval shape belt is there, so it will continuously moving, and so that it will provide the part from the loading and unloading stations and to the various machines in the loop, right? So and machine itself has a secondary handling system. around the machine, right? So you will find a secondary handling system near to the machine itself, and there is a center common conveyor belt is there. So center material handling system will be there in case of the FMS layout. In case of the rectangular layout, we are not using the secondary uh, material movement. Only the rectangle shape type of the movement of the flow is there, and the machine is directly connected to the this center conveyor belt. So that will cause a forward loop and the return loop. So it will pass through this one forward and return loop, and you will find the completed good on the other side. So what will happen here? The pallets are there. Pallet will take the goods from the loading station. It will move to the machine one to machine two, machine three, machine four. It will unload on the unloading station. Thereafter, empty pallet will be collected again back to the loading station by the return loop. So that is arranged in the leader set, uh, rectangle set, right? Rectangle layout. Some more layout is there. Likewise, a ladder layout. Here you can see it can be moved like from the bottom to upside, right? In the ladder manner, machines are placed at the center of this ladder block, right? So it will provide the material two-way flow. So it will provide the loop with round to allow the greater variation in the process sequence. So here the number of the machines are at the center. So that is showing the ladder type layout. Nothing else. Machines are the center of the ladder. Open field layout. So here it is combination of the ladder layout and multiple loops. So you can see a number of the machines in the central block, and that allow the flow of the workpiece around the machines. And due to that, it will complete the task, right? So this is a different type of layout where the AGV is used to move the material. Robot center layout. So where the center one robot is placed centrally, and around that robot the machine tools are placed. One machine tool, other machine tools, and here the you can find the part carousel. Carousel. You have seen this carousels normally in the airport. When we see a pick our luggage from the airport, you will see the carousel that is an elliptical conveyor belt, and that will provide you your luggage. So here this part carousel is there, and robot will pick the part from the carousel and put the machine one, machine two as per the requirement, and also it will take finished machine component from the machine tool and placed on the carousel again. These are the different layouts. There are some factors that will influence the FMS layout. That factors are such that availability of the raw material, how much availability is there, proximity to the market, and the transportation facility, how much is there, availability of efficient and cheap labor, availability of power and water, fuel is there. So based on this, FMS layout will be changed. Business economic conditions, how much business economic condition is there. So you can suppose for going more complex layout. Now the next thing is about the different component of the FMS, right? Various component of the FMS. Uh, so in this one, there is a workstation, there is a material handling and storage system. Third one is a computer control system, and fourth one that is human resource that people require to manage and operate the system. Here you can see the schematic diagram of FMS. There is a two machine tools are shown: lathe machines, milling machines. This is just robots that will pick and place the things from the conveyor belt. Here you can see the ASRS, atomic storage and retrieval system. Here you can see the vision systems, uh, and some central computers are there in this one case. Before going for the component, I will show you one more video which is related to the you can say FMS and the production of the real items on the FMS. Please wait. It is very small video. So that will show the how the real products are made with help of the FMS. Just I will share the video. Please wait. This is a video for the how they're making the chairs. So here you can see this robots are there working centrally, placing the tubes that are used for making the frame of the chair. They are bending the tubes as per the requirements. Various machineries are used for making the complete finished products. So here they're bending the tubes to make the frames. No human being you will find it in this total FMS systems. That is a thing that it is totally automatic and controlled by the single computer. You don't have to go for the one machine to other machines to enter the programs and do other things. Right? CNC machine, what we are doing, we are entering the program in one machine. Thereafter, we'll take the component freeze from the machine. But here, computer, central computer will feed the program to the each machine. So here, the laser cutting is done. The operations get the signal from the central computer. Some workers are there that will supervise the things, but that is very limited number, you can say. Here the arc welding is done. It's a lot of things they are doing. These are the bending the tubes and I'm welding the tubes. Continuously robot is picking and placing the things. So continuous automatic material handling system is there. You can find here the finished product that is a frame for the chair. This is a frame from the chair. So that is built in the FMS. So FMS is having automatic machine tools with automatic material handling system. Right? So for making the FMS, we require the variety of components. Right? So here, these are the four major components. One is your workstation. Second one is your material handling and storage system. Third one is a computer control system. And the fourth one is a human resource. We'll see one by one. What is a workstation? Workstation, you can say to typically load unload station. Machining station like the CNC machine tools, like a turning center, milling center, that type of machine tools are there. Other processing station like a punching, steering, welding station, you can say. Assembly station also some place where you are doing the assembly. So that is assembly station. Workstation, maybe you're having a inspection vision system like a provision for the vision on inspection. So this is a workstation which will covering the 3 or 4 things. Not only the loading and unloading, it will also go for machining and welding, joining, assembly, and the inspection. So that all things are covered in the workstation field. Second one is a material handling system and storage system. That is a big task that is to be done automatically in the FMS. So function of handling system is the independent movement of the work part between the station. So we require to independent movement from the one workstation to the other workstation. Handle the variety of work part configuration, different type of the spherical or round or rectangle shape, box shape, different configuration works part to be handled by this handling system station, right? Temporary storage also it has to provide on the conveyor belt. Convenient access for loading and unloading parts, that is to provide on the works this handling system. Compatible with the computer control, that should be easily operate with the help of the computer. That it should be stop in front of the machine tools. It should be start to move on the second machine tool. So that things should be there. So communication with the computer should be must. Right? Material handling equipments, it can be having a primary handling systems, establish the basic layout of FMS where we have seen earlier. He is responsible for moving work part between station in the systems by using the conveyor belt. Secondary handling system consists of the transfer device, automatic pallet changing. We have seen the lot of pallets that are moving empty and with the workpiece in the earlier video also. So function of the secondary handling system is to transfer work from the primary station to the machine tool, right? Or other positioning station. and to position the part with sufficient accuracy and ability to perform the process or assembly or operations. So it should accurately position the components. So that is important of the material handling system. A lot of material handling systems are there. A lot of automated part handling systems are there. You have seen in earlier video also that is a AGV that is running behind the that machineries. There is a conveyor belt. The same conveyor belt you have seen in the airport also that will moving the part from one place to other place. Automatic storage and retrieval system. There is a rack type system which is having some barcodes. So where you can store the systems and also retrieve that system. So these are the four major units. So the conveyors are the one unit. AGV automated guided vehicle that don't require the human being to move the material by the pulling the cart or something like that one. It is automatically guided. And the third one, that is the automatic storage and retrieval system. It should automatically pick the thing from the racks and place the things automatically in the racks. So it should identify what is the current need, and based on that current need, it's the things should go, robot should go that place and pick the things from the rack. So these are the three major things in the automated material handling system. So first one is coming the automated guided vehicle. You can say AGV. So AGV is a material handling system that use independently operated, self-propelled. It is self-propelled vehicle guided along the defined pathway. So it will guide along the defined pathway. Vehicles are powered by the onboard batteries that allows many hours of the operation between the recharging. Distinguished feature of AGVs compared to the rail guided vehicle systems or more conventional system, it is that pathway are unobstructed. So its pathway is unobstructed. Right? AGV is appropriate where different materials are moved from various load point to the various unload point. AGV is therefore suitable for automatically material handling in the batch production, mixed model production. And first AGV was operated in 1954 by the A.M. Barrett. So A.M. Barrett has designed first AGV in 1954, that is a self-propelled vehicle. So this self-propelled vehicles or AGV can be divided into three categories. One is driverless train, second one is a pallet train, and third is a unit load carrier. Let's see one by one, this all three. Here you can see the photographs of the driverless train. This is the driverless train. Second one is this is the AGV pallet truck where there is no human beings there. There's a pallet truck, 4 cars there, and that will lift the pallets. And the third one is a unit load carrier, which only load unit item. Driverless consists of the towing vehicles that pulls one or more trailers to form a train. It was the first type of AGV to be introduced, still widely used today. Common application is moving heavy payloads over large distance in warehouse or factories. For train consisting of 5 or train trailers, this is an efficient transport system. Second one is a pallet type pallet truck. So that will use to move the palletized load. AGV's pallet truck ranges up to the several thousand kilogram. Some trucks are capable for handling the 2 pallets rather than 1 pallet. More recent introduction of related to the pallet truck is a forklift AGV. So nowadays you will find the forklift AGV also. The third one, that is AGV unit load carrier. It will load unit loads from one station to other station. They are often equipped for the automatic loading and unloading of the pallets. Right? It will move from assembly line to the machining lines like that one. Another application area of AGV's technology is flexible manufacturing system. In a typical operation, starting work part from the one onto pallet fixer by the human workers by the starting area. The AGV will deliver the part to the individual workstation. Right? How the AGV will move, automatic, how it will guide it. So how it will follow the part automatically. So there are 3 technologies used for the AGV. One is a embedded guided wire. Right. So here you can see the on the floor they have insert one wire, continuous wire at a very small depth, at a very minor depth. So here you can see they create a channel of the 3 to 12 mm wide, 13 to 26 mm deep, where you can insert the wire. After the guide wire is installed, the channel is filled with the cement, and to eliminate the discomfort the flow space, so that will fill the channel, total channel. Only the wire will be there inside the channel, so you'll get a smooth flow. Right? So the guide wire is connected to the frequency generator, which emit the low voltage, low current signal with frequency of the 1 to 15 kilowatts. This induced magnetic field around the pathway that can be followed by the sensor on board each vehicle. So there's on board each vehicle there is a sensor. The sensor will follow this this magnetic current, magnetic field, and it will move along this pathway, along this guided pathway. So by this wire technology also, you can move as you automatically inside the your plant. Second one, you can do that. You can paint a strip uh, on your shop floor, and that vehicle use an optical sensor system capable of tracking that paint. So that is a specific paint. You don't use the normal paint, but that is a specific fluorescent particle paint. Right? So that reflect the ultraviolet light source from the vehicle. So uh, one system use 1 inch wide paint strip containing the fluorescent particles that reflect the ultraviolet light source from the vehicles. So onboard sensor detects that reflected light in the strips and control steering mechanism allow to flow along that paint strip. Right. So that is a very simple thing that you will have to draw a line with the help of these fluorescent particles. But the problem is that this guidance method is a paint strip deteriorates with the time. So whenever there's some time will be happen after 6 months, you have to repaint the things. You have to always clean that floor also. Otherwise, the dirt particles will also create a difficulty to detect that paint. The third one, that is self-guided vehicle, that is the latest SGV guidance technology. Unlike the previous two guidance method, SGVs operate without continuous defined pathway. So there is no continuous pathway. So they are self-guided vehicles. They use the combination of the dead reckoning and beacon located throughout the plant, which can be identified by the onboard sensor. So there are some dead reckoning refers to capability of vehicle to follow the given route in the absence of defined pathway. Movement of the vehicle along the route is accomplished by the computing the required number of the wheel rotation in sequence of specified steering angles. So that is based on the calculation how much number of the turns that the wheel is turned. So based on how much distance it is covered, and based on that you can move from one place to other place instead of using the paint or wire. So here you require the computation on the vehicle. So you require onboard computer on the vehicle. There are the various types of beacons also used in the commercial SGVs. One system use barcode beacons mounted along the walkway. So barcode is used nowadays, or QR codes are also used to identify the parts. Advantage of the self-guided vehicle technology over the fixed path is about its flexibility. In the fixed path, there is no flexibility, only the vehicle will follow the path. But here, by this self-guided vehicle, you can go at any place, you can change the route very easily, you can go for the more major alteration without any problem. There are some difficulties and some things that we have to focus whenever you go for the AGV. So for the better operational safety, you require for going for control of the traffic. If you are using the more than two AGVs or 4 or 5 AGVs, so you don't require to interface between the AGVs. Also interface between the some other components, like so to prevent that interference and also accident or collision. Uh, uh, you have to work out, and the two methods of traffic controls are used for that one: onboard vehicle sensing and the John control. So that two technologies can be used to prevent the collisions. Vehicle dispatching, so which vehicle has to go and take the components, that also we have to control. And the safety of the safety also should be taken care, as so many workers or human beings are there in the plant for supervising the things. So AGV should not strike or not collide with the human beings. So these three things: first, traffic control, how you dispatch the vehicles, how will ensure the safety of the human beings, that you have to think. This was about the AGVs. Now the storage systems. We have to think about the storage support system or storage system, that how we'll store the part, that is a raw material, either semi-finished raw material, semi-finished good, or final completed goods, right? The function of the storage is to store materials, either that is a part, work in process, or finished good for a period of time, or and also it permit retrieval whenever it is required. It required to store as well as very easily detect the when it required. So it should be easily retrieved from the storage place. Uh, Mostly used in factories, warehouses, distribution centers, wholesale dealership, and retail store also. So every place you will find whenever there is something like a selling the thing, a small shop also having it's a predefined storage place. We are using the box type arrangement One box will be used to put the soap. One box is used to put the shampoo. One box is used to put the Maggie or something like that one. So every time the owner will plan for this storage system so that he can easily detect whenever it is required. He can easily detect whenever it is required. So to minimize the time, what is the thing? Put your things in a well-defined places only, right? Where you haphazardly put the things anywhere, that become very difficult to identify the things, right? जब आपको जरूरत पड़ती है तब वो चीज नहीं मिल पाती. हम लोग मोस्टली क्या करते हैं, घर पे चाबी होती है, we have the key. So what we are doing, we are putting that key at some places, thereafter we'll forget that where we have put, and that will take a lot of time. So nowadays people are making the specific place where they have to hang the key, right? Same manner, if you see the lot of old movies of the Hollywood, what they are doing, they are coming inside the house and put their cot at one particular place, right? So that is the thing that they have identified where to put, so it can be easily retrieved. So it is very important supply chain components, automation available to improve the efficiency. So the retrieval should be automatically done. So what type of materials should be stored? Here the list of the materials are there. You can see one by one that what type of things you require to be stored. That is a raw material first, purchase part, right? That is a casting or something like that one. Work in process, you have to place some semi-finished good. Finished product that also ready for the shipment, you have to put. Rework or scrap, some rework is there, then also you have to put one identified place, or some scrap that is a from the machining or something like that you have to put. Refuse, toolings, different tools, cutting tools, jig fixtures that you have to put in particular place. So whenever machine tools require that tools, then it should be easily available. Spare parts, office supply like paper form, plant records, that all things should be stored in well manner. The performance measure for the storage system, that how you can measure the performance. The first thing is storage capacity. Right? Two measures are there: total volumetric space, how much volume is there, and total number of storage of compartment. Right? Unit load, you can say. So by these two measures, you can find out the storage capacity based on the volumetric or based on the number. Storage density, volumetric space available for storage related to the total volumetric space in the facility, right? Accessibility, how easily you can access the every corner of the space. So that is accessibility. System throughput, hourly rate of storage and travel transaction, how much easily you can store and retrieve the things. Utilization availability, that is a five criteria for defining the performance measure of the storage system. Sometimes you can categorize in the two manners: randomized storage, dedicated storage. Incoming items are stored in any available location when there is a big warehouse and very limited travel is there. So usually means nearest available open location you can put the component. Dedicated storage, where you can use predefined specific location for storing the different equipments or items. So typical basis for a dedication location is a item number sequence, activity level, activity space ratio. So that depend on that you can decide what will be the dedicated location. Sometimes storage can be in the different types. One is a bulk storage, when you want to store the bulk manner, like very high density is possible, low accessibility is required, lowest possible cost per square foot is required. Then you can go for the bulk storage. Then you can simply bulk storage. You can say that your sand you can put one big corner. You can put the whole truck of the sand, right? So that is a bulk storage. Rack system. You put the things in the rack. You have to provide the racks in your workspace. You have to make racks for that one. Slaves, cupboards, like that cupboard element also you can do. Drawer storage, you can use the different drawers to store the things. And the final, that is automated storage system, that is we'll see later on. So the bulk storage is in the open floor area. Problem, achieving the proper balance between the storage density and accessibility. Rack system, structure with the racks and pallet loads, permit vertical stacking of the material one by one. Shelving or bins, horizontal platform in structural frame. Steel shelvings comes in the standard size, right? You have seen steel cupboards. And drawer storage, entire content of each drawer can be reviewed. So here you can see the bulk storage like this one. So you can have store in the bulk one by one over one over one also. So low cost per square meter is there. You can store very easily. You don't require any structure in that one. Simply you to dump one item or other item. But it is very difficult to if I require this item to remove from this one, that is very difficult to take out that item. Or below the second row item, it is very difficult. But if all things are identical one, then it is very easily anything you want to work, you remove from the each corner. But if all things are identical, then you can go for the bulk storage. But otherwise, if all part are having a unique variety, then it is not useful. Pallet rack system. Here the pallets and the racks are there. Here you can see the different racks are there. On the pallet, you can mount the components. So that is having a low cost, good storage density, good accessibility is there. So pallet rack system is more widely used in the storage system. Drawer storage, you have seen the cabinet drawer where different files and books are there in your cabin itself. So it can be used for the small item in the tools and the part only. Now automatic storage and retrieval system ASRS, right? So here can be defined as a storage system that performs storage and retrieval operation with speed and accuracy under defined degree of automation. So it is automated thing, right? Earlier all things are not automated. So here we require to give for the wide range of automation. So lot of automated ASRS are available in the market. Right. So ASRS are also sometimes custom design based also, or sometimes it is software level also to perform the function. So mechanized automated storage equipments to reduce the human resource required to operate the storage facility. So that is the things. It is connected with the computer control. So it is connected with the computer control. And also it is having some tagging on itself. So you can easily identify the components in that automated storage and retrieval systems. Why we require to increase the storage capacity, to increase the storage density, to recover the factory floor space currently used for the WIP, improve security and reduce the final edge, reduce the labor cost, improve the safety, improve the inventory control, improve the stock rotation, improve the customer service, increase the throughput. So that is the things. So there are the two types of the automated storage system. One is the automated storage retrieval system ASRS, and one is a carousel storage system. Carousel storage system you seen on the airport, the oval conveyor system with the bins to contain individual items. So your conveyor belt on the airport is known as a carousel storage, but it has a bins mounted on that. And the automated storage and retrieval system, rack system with mechanized automated crane to store and retrieve load. So rack, there is already rack, but it has a mechanized or robot or something crane that will put the things in the rack, also retrieve the things in the from the rack. So there are the different types of the ASRS system: unit load ASRS, deep lane ASRS, mini load ASRS, automated item retrieval system, vertical lift storage systems are there. So the various different, based on the configuration, you can see different types of ASRS are there. Applications of the ASRS are the unit load storage and retrievals, order picking, work in process storage that can be done with the help of the ASRS. If you analyze this one, the sizing, the ASRS and throughput analysis you can do, and carousel also you can do the storage analysis. The last thing is that a computer control system. All things like workstation, material handling system, and storage system, that all should be controlled with the central computer, right? So there is a central computer. Nowadays we have a big capability computers are there which can run at a higher RAM, which can having a more computation capabilities there. So it can be interconnected with a number of the components. It simultaneously it can control traffic control also, it can shuttle control also, it can monitor the workpiece also, which is machining inside the CNC machines. Also it can look on the vision system, right? So lot of things, lot of data will come inside the computers, either from the robot, either from the conveyor belt, either from the CNC machines, either from the tool controls, either from the workstations. So that all things will come, send the data to the central computer. Central computer has some software so that will analyze the signals, and then after it will give the signal, output signal to the each individual workstation, either in the CNC machine, either to robot. It will give the signal robot to robot that now the machine tool has completed the work machining. You can take out the job from the machine. So that all things can be done with the central computer. So nowadays, why we are talking more about the automations and robotics or industry 4.0, the reason that we have the sufficient big capable computers, as well as we have the good data transfer, right? Either that is due to cyber physical or something like that one, cyber data transfer can be also possible. So now what you can do, you can control your systems from far away, right? If one is sitting in the India, also he can capable enough to run the whole power plant that is in the Dubai or something like that in the Oman, right? So whole oil plant can be controlled by sitting in the India. So that is possible due to the 5G data transfer or something like that type of technology. So this is computer control system, what it has to do, how it has to control, what it has to control. So it has to control workstation, right? It has to control the instruction to the workstation. It has to production control also. It has to traffic control also between the EGVs. It has to do shuttle control also. Workpiece monitoring also done with the central computer. Tool controls. What type the tools are available in the machine tools. So that has to be analyzed also. It has to performance monitoring. So what type of quality you are getting from the machine tools. So that also be required to inspect, and that should be feed to the central computer. Diagnostic, if there is some problem happening, some error occurs, that should be diagnosed with the central computer. So that is done with the help of the computers. Now the FMS software, that variety of the softwares are available, and that is compatible with the computer hardwares and the machine tools. So that will interface between the hardware and the systems, center computer system. So softwares are the invisible element, but essential glue that binds the visible FMS equipment together and form a system, right? So हमने देखा, we have seen the computer visibly, we have seen the machine tools, we have seen the robot, we have seen the other things, but how to integrate that, how to run that all things is done with the software only. So there are so many sophisticated computer softwares are made. So here generalized softwares are not available for the soft FMS, but that is a sophisticated and highly developed softwares are there, that is for the particular that type of the FMS only. So that is a specific softwares are used for the FMS. The last one is your human resource. Human resource are normally required. We cannot eliminate the part of the human resource, right? So human resource may be used sometimes to load the work part, unload the finished goods, change the tools, equipment maintenance and repairs, some CNC programming or programming operation of the computer system. That all things can be done with help of the human resource. So we can reduce the number of the human resource, but we cannot eliminate that one. Something like for FMS installation and FMS implementation. During the FMS installation phase, the system must physically be assembled, started, and debugged. Right? Problems and delays are sure to be encountered during the final but critical stage of the project. So during the installation, we have to install each and every workstation and machinery completely, and final. Then after you to interlink between the each and every workstations, and finally you can see the whole project at a single phase. Right? FMS implementation involves making all installed component work and function as a system, right? Some issues are there during the planning. FMS planning issues are there. So I have mentioned that issues in this tabular format. That is the part family of considerations. How we'll make a family of part processing requirement. What are the processing requirements are there? What is the production volume required to manufacture in the FMS? So these are the planning issues. Likewise, there are so many design issues are there. Type of the workstation, what type of the workstation you require, variation of the process routing, material handling system, what type of the system design is required, working process and storage capacity also you have to design, tooling, pallet fixtures, so that all things you have to come across in the design issue. Operational issue, there's scheduling of the machineries, part routings, part groupings, tool management, pallet fixture allocation, that will come in the operational issues. We already discussed that a lot of advantages from the FMS. It will improve the efficiency, it will improve the product routing, it will improve the product quality, reduce the setup time, queue times, reduce the time for production completely, serve the variety of vendors simultaneously. So it is very big things that will give the lot of advantages automatically. Produce a variety of items under the one roof more quickly. Second thing, it is automated, so it will give the consistent and better quality. Third thing, low cost per unit output is there. Utilize human work better, right? Reduce the inventory as there is a totally centrally planning is there, computerized planning is there, so it will reduce the inventory also. A lot of advantages are there. Disadvantages are a few that let's see limited ability to adapt to the change in the product or product mix. Machines are limited capacity. Toolings necessary for products, even of a sample, is not always feasible in the given FMS. We have to take FMS is based on the machines. Which type of the machines you have, which type number of the machines you have, that will decide how much easily you can go for the change in the product or product mix. Right. Second thing, substantially pre-planning activity is required. More pre-planning activity is required. Before setting the button of the FMS, you require to make the planning for that one. You require to purchase the machinery. You require the programming of the machinery. You require the processing of the processing sequence to be designed, MRP to be designed. Not all things you should do the pre-plan activities are there. Expensive, costing in millions of dollars, right? The FMS cost will not uh, lower one, it is a very high one. Technological problem of exact component positioning and precise timing necessary to process the component. We have seen the robot is picking the component from one place to other place, but when it is picking, when it is coming at the precise place. So positioning at the precise place is also cause a big trouble. Sophisticated manufacturing system is required in the FMS. So these are the disadvantages for the FMS. It will require long, large or huge investment, you can say. Mainly the limitation of FMS are originated from the unrealistic expectation as to what FMS is and what it can do, and the misunderstanding about the need of the flexibility in the manufacturing. Some of people understand the FMS means whatever I think it can produce. Not that is not like that, right? So misunderstanding should be removed. It can produce within a limit of the group. Flexibility is defined as the ability to respond effectively to change the circumference. It is not convertibility as understandable to understood to be able to convert from one product to another product type, family or volume or manufacturing expectation. So it is not convertibility. It is only produced the within a group. FMS is not a cure all for the productivity or profitability problems. Applying FMS may not be productive as effort to outsource the product component manufacturing or to maximize efficiency of existing worker or processes. Right? Cost of FMS is very high. Purchase of FMS is not same as that standard commodity type machine tool. You require to plan for that one. Application of FMS, a lot of metal cutting machineries are there, metal forming machinery, assemblies, joining, welding, surface treatment, inspection, testing, that all things are the application of the FMS. Challenges with the FMS. The first one, determining if FMS the best production system for your company or not, economically and socially. Both you to find out that either your FMS is best for you or not. Second one, possible expansion cost associated with the implementing FMS. So when you want to expand that your plant, then also it will give you a lot of high cost. Day-to-day maintenance of FMS operation is also very critical one. You have to focus on that one, right? So these are the challenges with the FMS. So FMS is not like that one that one can easily adopt the technology. It is having a big cost involved. It required to be operated very critically. So mostly big companies are using FMS technologies and getting the benefits of that one, as it has a bigger capital investment, right? So this is for the FMS. So I try my level best to explain what is FMS, how it is related to the automation and robotics, and what are the application and what are the limitations, and uh, what is the technology. So any question from your side? Any particular participant? Any question? I hope all participants enjoy the whole FDP.